Glad to have you committed here, Mr. Miller. From now on, things will be very different for you.
Inland Freaks, kind of like an experimental mental hospital kind of image, really kind of interesting photograph. I think that we've seen past films like this, or maybe some of us have been in these situations before, in these kind of environments where it's like, it's really kind of like claustrophobic and kind of creepy and scary, kind of a really interesting film, a Canadian film as well. Like there's some really deep and disturbing kind of aspects going on, but it was kind of riveting for me. What do you guys think about this film?
I can't remember how you just finished your last statement, but we don't do things like that anymore. It was a retrospect in history and how they used to treat people with mental health issues and addictions and, you know, supposed challenges. I'm glad to say that it's a good reflection, an accurate reflection on history and the way people used to look at mental illness. But thank God we don't do things like that anymore, really. We're changing.
Well, you hope so, but I kind of took this as a modern film. I don't know what you guys thought about this. Yeah, people are raising their hands.
I like the fact that the film went into the depth of minds of both the victim and the aggressors, especially the aspect wherein the guy was kind of in a denial mode until he actually spoke with someone else. And even there, you know, through empathy, he realized the wrong that he did. So it really went deep into the psychic of both the parties.
I wanted to know why they were like all barefoot. I guess it just showed their vulnerability because they're like walking up the stairs and not wearing shoes, and I'm just hope those steps were clean. To me, it was very jarring for them to just be all barefoot, and I feel like I guess that was just for their vulnerability. They were wearing these like blue shirts with buttons that would have lapels on them, but didn't have lapels. So I found the movie to be very jarring.
I found it also felt like at first, when everything was in the negative, we don't do this, we don't do this, we don't do this, and I think people nowadays try to think more in positive terms of what they want rather than what they don't want. So it made it feel very retro, but also, as you mentioned, it felt like a modern time, and I think it was reflecting the fact that we still have no clue what we're doing. We still have no clue how we characterize people who are struggling with any form of mental illness that shows up in a variety of expressions. So that was just kind of my sense that like we haven't come that far.
I thought one interesting point was when he was being interviewed and he was talking about his experience with his student, and the guy said, but you wanted to go farther. He didn't ask the question, he said, you wanted to do more. And he didn't respond, he just kept going. He said, you wanted to do more. It made it almost feel like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where he goes in there into this place and they kind of turn him insane. You know, they turn him mentally ill by telling him that he is, you know what I mean? That's the impression I got.
Yeah, they're finishing the story from them, and it's like, it's like one of those cliches. Just want to pass the mic over, where like you are a product of your environment. So if you end up in that environment for so long, you're going to become the environment because we're human, right? And as the lady said in the fourth row, we don't know anything about us. So basically, it's the human psyche.
The thing with the Inland Freaks is they're talking about if they're trying to heal these people, take away the problem, they don't want the problem anymore. Yet they send them into a room with pictures of new ladies, and the mantra is, I will not lust. I will not hurt children, I will not lust. So he actually takes away, if he had gone any further than he did, he would have taken away the innocence of that person, which is what they were all there for. Even whether she was a child, even if she was an older student, there's still an innocence that's in you until you were violated in some way or another. So he would have ruined that. So they're saying they're not going to do that, they're not going to do that, and they send him in a room with the same thing that's going to provoke him to do it. So I found that very strange.
I think I must be the freak, talking about the inland freak, because I tend to disagree with all comments around mental health issues. I saw the movie as a really powerful vignette on pedophilia. And I saw the men as convicted pedophiles, hence the uniform that they were wearing, which is very common across correctional environments. They're being harped at about their offenses by somebody who's responsible for treating them. And I think it shows our helplessness, if you like, in terms of we know these things happen, we know these people exist, and we really haven't advanced enough in our knowledge and awareness to know what to do with these freaks. And hence the screaming victims who would try to confront the perpetrators. So for me, this was a very powerful topic. Very little to do, in my mind, with mental health. A whole lot to do with pedophilia and adult relationships with children and abuse of power.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I enjoyed the photography. Just the way that the director used the subjects on the fringes of the frame, as though I felt like they just didn't deserve that full frame view. So they were always on the fringes in each of the situations, which enhanced the fact that they are on the fringes of society in general.
Yeah, it was really nice put together film, like for the limited, not the limited, but the environment doesn't really think for the best cinematic kind of film, but they did an amazing job of what kind of like the art direction that they gave themselves.
Such a thing blinds us from seeing the pain we can inflict on others.
For me, it was very telling about our society today, and also just our way of dealing with any issue. And pedophilia, I have to disagree with the person who was saying it's not an issue of mental health. It is, as actually every single outside of the norm comportment behavior that would lead you to being imprisoned. It can also stem from mental health issues, and you can see that the main character, he's convicted but not really. He's been sent there. It's a process of intention, if we believe what he's saying. So in a way, it shows how our society is pushing away to the boundaries anything that frightens us, instead of trying to understand and deconstruct the process that would lead to the issue these men are facing. And the screaming victims for me were just a good example of how this is not going to help anyone. Not the screaming victims and not the people who are now in their turn victimized.